And keep subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000, and I'm getting closer and closer. Thanks to all the people that tune in and the people that are soon to be tuning in. This is the unadulterated truth. Tony also knows boxing. I take chances. I push the envelope, and I do it for my fans, and I do it because that's who I am. Ooh, that rhymed. Anyway, right now, the current state of boxing, a lot of things are going on. Keyshawn Davis didn't make weight. He came in 4.3 pounds overweight, and I think he deliberately did that because he wanted to have an edge against Edwin De Los Santos, because Edwin De Los Santos, he looked a little drained if you look at him, but I think Edwin De Los Santos is definitely a very, very, very dangerous fighter and very strong, and I think that he knows that, Keyshawn Davis, so he purposely didn't make the weight because he didn't even look like he even tried to make the weight, Keyshawn Davis. And Keyshawn Davis came in 4.3 pounds overweight, and if they were to actually fight, the fight, De Los Santos was going to win his WBO championship if he won the fight. But if Keyshawn Davis would have won the fight, he would have not been able to keep his belt because he failed to make weight. And he said in the interview, in the post-interview after the weigh-in failure, he said that he can't make the 135 pounds anymore, that he's been at that weight for 4 years, but I feel like he's lying. I think that he did that because he knew beforehand, before the fight, that he wasn't going to make the weight, and he was willing to like come in 4 pounds overweight so he could have a physical advantage over De Los Santos, because De Los Santos is a very dangerous fighter, boxer. The guy is very talented, and I think he gave a good account of himself with Shakur Stevenson, even though he didn't win the fight, but and Shakur Stevenson hurt his hand, but I feel like he is a very skillful, dangerous fighter. I'm not saying he's the most skillful, but he's very skillful, and I truly believe that Keyshawn Davis did that deliberately because based on what Bob Arum said that he didn't even look like he even hydrated to make the weight. He didn't even try to make the weight. He's not struggling to make the weight. He just didn't try to make the weight, and I feel that was an injustice to the fans that really wanted to see Keyshawn Davis. Me personally, I'm a Keyshawn Davis fan. I'm a hardcore Keyshawn Davis fan, but I'm going to be real. I'm going to call a spade a spade. I think Keyshawn Davis is not the businessman for doing a decision like that. He calls himself the businessman. They ask him, are you still going to proceed with the fight? Before they cancel the fight, they asked him in the interview, and he said, yes, I'm the businessman. I'm going to continue the fight. If you was the businessman, you would have kept everything copacetic and made the weight and kept it professional and fight him at 135 and try to make the weight. At least try to make the weight. If you come 2 pounds overweight, okay, that's not too bad. But he didn't want to weaken himself, because when you try to make weight and you weaken yourself. I feel that if he is the greatest and he feels like he's going to be the future greatest of all time, then he should have made the weight and fight De Los Santos at the proper weight to keep your belt and to defend your belt for the first time, which would have been a great test for you. I really wanted to see Keyshawn Davis test himself against somebody as elite as Edwin De Los Santos. That is a fight that is it's a souffle. It's actually a little gourmet meal for the true boxing fans. But he disappointed me. If he really wanted to smoke, he would do it fair and square. He wouldn't try to have a weight advantage, 4 pound weight advantage. But I don't understand where he thought in his mind that he was going to keep the WBO belt without making weight. And I know for a fact that he was trying to not make the weight and thinking that he could get away with it and to have an advantage against De Los Santos. That's what I think. How you doing? Unia Soriano, how you doing? God bless. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to that channel. Don't be afraid to click that like button. Don't be afraid to subscribe. Take that chance. Take that dive. Take that dive if you want the realest, unadulterated, great information, not holding anything back from my fans, and just me being real regardless. I'm always gonna be me. Uh, Unia Soriano, good. I appreciate you tuning into the channel. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Yeah, I was really looking forward to that fight with Keyshawn Davis versus Edwin De Los Santos. From what I read, because I do my research, Top Rank Incorporated gave Edwin De Los Santos the $400,000 that he was going to make in the fight for his time, because he did everything accordingly. That, he made the weight. He didn't have any weight issues, and he didn't come in overweight, and he trained for the fight. So, due to the fact that he trained for the fight and the time that he put in to get this fight, and even though he was out of the ring for 18 months, he was still able to make the weight. They, Top Rank Incorporated paid him the $400,000 for his time, and in spite of not fighting Keyshawn Davis, he still gets the purse that he was going to get if he was to fight Keyshawn Davis today, June 7th, which was canceled due to the Keyshawn Davis not making weight. And it's really sad because real boxing fans wanted to see that, and I wanted to see that. Keyshawn Davis is one of my favorite fighters, and he went at it with Abdullah Mason in the press conference. While he was at the press conference with Edwin De Los Santos, he already had an opponent that he needed to focus on, and he said, after you knock out your opponent, and I finished my, knocking out Edwin De Los Santos, what do you want to do next? And he said, Abdullah Mason said, I got to see what my team is going to say. And he said, no, you can make it happen. What do you want to do? And he said, and then Abdullah Mason was like, I don't want to continue talking to you. And then, Keyshawn Davis said, of course you don't want to talk to me. And then, he was being professional, Abdullah Mason. And Abdullah Mason is going to be the main event. He's moved up to the main event card because Keyshawn Davis did not make the weight. And I feel like it's a great fight. He's fighting Nucatilia, and that's going to be a good test. I think he has 26 wins, and I think he has 21 KOs in his fights. He's an African guy, if I'm not mistaken. He's a very dangerous, formidable opponent, and I feel like that's a good test for Abdullah Mason. But Abdullah Mason is the truth. 18-0 with 16 KOs. And I feel that Keyshawn Davis should have just been focusing on the fight at hand, Edwin De Los Santos. But I love his confidence. I love that he called out Abdullah Mason the way that he did. There's certain things about him that I don't agree with Keyshawn Davis. I think that Felix Tito Trinidad, like over here, he would always make weight. And he would never try to come with an advantage intentionally, because he wants to truly prove that he's the best fair and square. I'm not saying that Keyshawn Davis doesn't want to prove that he's the best, but I just don't like the way he goes about it, like saying he's the businessman, like, basically saying I'm the sneaky businessman. Like, if I have an advantage and I can get away with it, I'm gonna do it. But he was not able to do that. They did not allow the fight to go on, Keyshawn Davis versus Edwin De Los Santos, due to the unsafetyness of the fight. And I feel that he would have an advantage, Keyshawn Davis, if he didn't make the weight and goes in the ring the way, without that, making the weight. He would have definitely have an advantage over Edwin De Los Santos, because Edwin De Los Santos had to drain himself to make the weight, and it kind of weakens you a little. But that's what you have to agree with. If both of them, struggle with making 134 or 135, at least they're both evenly matched. They're both struggling with. They both had to drain themselves to make that weight. Because I believe De Los Santos looked drained, and if Keyshawn Davis would have did it, he would have been drained a little bit. But I think he would have still had the possibility to win, a big possibility. But it's still a risky fight because Edwin De Los Santos is a hard puncher. He's fast and he's pretty quick, and he has some boxing skills. He's not the most greatest defensively, but he has some boxing skills, and he has power. He has some serious power. That was evident in the Rayo fight. He knocked out Rayo in the 4th round. He stopped it, but he knocked him down, and he got knocked down himself, De Los Santos. But that was a good fight, and Keyshawn Davis really disappointed me, and Dante's Boxing made a comment about that Keyshawn Davis wants all the smoke, and that there's no fighter like him. I agree to a certain extent, and I disagree to another extent. I believe he does want all the smoke, Keyshawn Davis. I love his confidence. I love the way he called out Abdullah Mason while he had a press conference with Edwin De Los Santos. But at the same time, I don't like the fact that he's kind of like undermining the next opponent, like Edwin De Los Santos. But it also proves that he is confident in himself. But it could kind of like diminish his chances if he overlooks somebody like Edwin De Los Santos. So I feel like there's a little cockiness about it. I'm not gonna say that Keyshawn Davis is cocky. I mean, I think he's humble, but he has a little bit of cockiness to him. But, you know, I love his confidence, but his cockiness is not like Mayweather's. You know, it's a different kind, but it's more like confidence than cockiness. But it could be, you know, it could rub people the wrong way. The way he goes at fighters or disrespecting De Los Santos for, you know, like, you know, talking to Abdullah Mason in the face-off while he has a press conference with De Los Santos. It's kind of like, you know, like, don't undermine your opponent. That could be a detriment to you, you know, if you do that. So I don't know. I do respect him. You know, I don't respect what he did as far as like not making the weight on purpose so he could have an advantage over De Los Santos. I don't like that. But Abdullah Mason is moved to the main event, and I'm excited about that fight. And the fight is supposed to take place at 10 o'clock. Crazy Gaming TV say hi. Hey, one love, Crazy Gaming TV. Thanks for tuning into my channel. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to that channel. Don't be afraid of the truth. Embrace the truth. If you want the realness, I'm giving you what most boxing content creators are not giving you. A lot of boxing content creators out there that are doing their thing, and I commend them. But there's a lot of them that are not doing what I'm doing. I'm being totally honest and giving you the facts. And Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to that channel. I'm looking forward to this fight with Abdullah Mason. And on other news, Teofimo Lopez, to all these Teofimo Lopez fanboys, I'm keeping it real. And to the Teofimo Lopez truth seekers and callers, I'm speaking the truth to them, and they back me up. And the ones that are just biased, blind fans of Teofimo Lopez are going to defend him at all costs. I get it. You got your pom-poms on. I know you're a cheerleader. You got your little dress, a cheerleading dress for Teofimo Lopez. But I'm not going to be, covering the truth and hiding it. I'm going to expose the truth. Look, Teofimo Lopez was offered $11 million by Turki Al-Sheikh, if I'm not mistaken, and to fight Devin Haney. And he refused to take the Devin Haney fight. I don't understand. All I know is that he wanted to fight Jerome Boots Ennis, and he brought it up to Turki Al-Sheikh's attention that he wants to make that fight. And Turki Al-Sheikh did not agree to make that fight. He said that he has to fight Devin Haney, and he was going to offer him $11 million. This is the second time that Teofimo Lopez turned down the biggest purse of his career. The second time that Teofimo Lopez has turned down his highest paid in his career offer. The first one was with Subriel Matias. He was going to get paid close to $3 million. Close to $3 million, the most he's ever made in his career. And then Teofimo Lopez has the audacity to say that he's never been paid more than $1 million. It's your fault, Teofimo Lopez. It is your fault. I used to be a fan of Teofimo Lopez, but until he started changing his approach and the way he has this prima donna expectation that everything has to cater around him, you have to first prove yourself in the ring enough. And sometimes you have to be willing to take a little bit less so you can make more. That's how it works in the boxing business. You have to be consistent. All these Claggett fights, Sandor Martin fights, all these other fights before the last fight with Barbosa, you look terrible, terrible. And the only reason why you look decent in the Barbosa fights because Barbosa's lethargic and very slow, and his punches are very obvious that you know where they're coming from, and it's easy to counter. And I believe that Teofimo Lopez was able to look decent enough, and it wasn't a flawless performance, but he looked good, decent, considering that he was fighting a very slow, lethargic, predictable fighter in Arnold Barbosa. So yes, but all the other fights that he's had, 5 fights in a row, he looked terrible. And the reason why he looked good against Josh Taylor is because Josh Taylor was inactive for like 2 years, and it does slow your reaction time. It does affect your timing when you're out of the ring for that long. So the version of Josh Taylor that Teofimo Lopez beat was not the version that fought Prograis, Regis Prograis. So I totally believe that Teofimo Lopez strategically picked the name Josh Taylor because it looks great on paper, but it's not great in real life. Because when you fight him, an inactive Josh Taylor is not the same as an active Josh Taylor. So I believe that was another reason why he looked good in that fight. But the victory is overrated. And everybody, all the Teofimo Lopez fanboys are gonna say I'm a hater, but I'm not a hater. I'm just telling you the truth, and you just don't like constructive criticism that's honest, because a lot of times a lot of people want to hear whatever soothes their ears, especially if you want to hear something good about your favorite fighter. You don't want to hear constructive criticism that's true because you're too blindly invested in Teofimo Lopez, so you don't want nobody to give a real constructive, truthful feedback about his decisions and what he's done. First of all, Teofimo Lopez has refused Subriel Matias, number one. $3 million he was going to make. The most he's ever made was before that was with Lomachenko. And that's the only fight that he dwells on. He still lives in that little bubble in his mind that he accomplished greatness because he was able to unify the belt, and he beat Lomachenko. But Lomachenko, he's a good fighter, but he's overrated. He's good, but he's not no Mayweather. But he's good. It's a good victory. But then he loses to Kambosos. So he made $1.2 million, I think, for Lomachenko, and he's saying that he deserves to get paid more because of his name. But you got to be active with better fighters, and sometimes you got to take a little less so you can invest later and make more money. Then people are going to give you what you deserve. You stay active and you take those dangerous fights like Subriel Matias, which he refused to take because Subriel Matias is very dangerous, and they were going to give him $3 million, and he refused it. And then now he refuses the fight with Devin Haney because he wants to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. So I feel like he's counterproductive for himself, and he contradicts himself. He's a walking contradiction. And he actually called Turki Al-Sheikh a dictator because I guess he doesn't want to give him the Jaron Boots Ennis fight. He wants to give him the Devin Haney fight, but he's still giving him $11 million for that fight. That's a fight that it's winnable for Teofimo Lopez. But at the same time, he probably feels like he can't win that kind of fight. I don't know. Why would he refuse $11 million? Just because he wants to fight Jaron Boots Ennis and Turki Al-Sheikh says, no, I don't want to make that fight. I want you to make the Devin Haney fight for $11 million, which is, Devin Haney has no chin. He's suspect. He runs a lot. He's a traumatized fighter. He got post-traumatic stress disorder, from the fight with Ryan Garcia. He does. I know Ryan Garcia cheated and all that, but he still landed, and I feel like he never had a chin, regardless of it did make Ryan Garcia more stronger, possibly, like using the Contillerol or whatever you call it, that substance in his body. But at the same time, he still wasn't able to dodge or move away from the punches, and he's still not able to take a punch, regardless if Ryan Garcia was stronger or not. I'm not condoning what Ryan Garcia did. What he did was wrong. And I don't respect Ryan Garcia. But Devin Haney has post-traumatic stress disorder from that fight. And I think either way, if Ryan Garcia would have not took the illegal substance, he still would have lost because he can't take the punch. It's like Subriel Matias said, that he sees fear in Devin Haney's eyes because his eyes turn like a fish. They open real wide whenever he gets hit. Like he can tell, Subriel Matias said that he can tell when a fighter doesn't like to get hit, and if they're really a warrior, if they're really a rooster, like Boricua say, rooster. He says, when a rooster's a fighter, But when he saw what he saw in Devin Haney's eyes, it's not a rooster, it's a scared little fish that when he gets hit, his eyes turn really wide, open real wide like a fish. I see the same thing, because I'm a warrior too. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm a Boricua Brooklyn warrior. I survived a lot, but I don't want to get into that. I'm just letting you know, real recognize real, and warriors recognizing other warriors. So I see what Subriel Matias was saying. Yeah, I'm kind of like going back and forth with different things. Subscribe to that channel. Thanks for tuning into the channel. I appreciate everybody showing the love, tuning in. Subscribe to that channel. Don't forget to click that like button and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm getting to 2,000. I'm getting to 1,000 subscribers. My channel's growing fast because I'm giving you the best authentic quality that most people are not brave enough to actually say the truth that I be saying. There's people out there doing their thing, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of people being fake, and they're not really giving you the unadulterated truth like me. I'm a risk taker, and I do it because that's the way I am, and I also do it for the fans, because they need to hear the realness. All right, so Abdullah Mason's going to be the main event, and then Teofimo Lopez, I talked about Teofimo Lopez, he refused $11 million, and Turki Al-Sheikh refused to give him the fight with Jerome Bruce Ennis because Teofimo Lopez, you're not your own boss. Stop acting like you're your own boss. If you're your own boss, then you could choose whoever you want. But in the meantime, you gotta, in between time, you gotta take chances. You gotta take chances. Sometimes you gotta get paid less so you can invest and make more money in the future. But you gotta be active. You fighting Claggett, Sandor Martin, you didn't even win those fights, but they gave you those fights. And the other fights before that, you didn't look so good. And then you picked Josh Taylor because he was inactive for 2 months. Not for 2 years, but I'm talking about 2 months. 2 years inactive. Of course you're going to look good against a fighter that's inactive. So if you're not your own boss, Teofimo Lopez, then you can't make moves yourself and dictate what fighters you get. You can't bite the hand that feeds you. Turki Al-Sheikh was going to make the fight with Devin Haney versus Teofimo Lopez August 16th. But that fight fell through. And because of Teofimo Lopez prima donna, demands, and he called Turki Al-Sheikh a dictator. No, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. He's giving you a fight with Devin Haney, a winnable fight for you because Devin Haney is traumatized. He has post-traumatic stress disorder, and he has no chin. He never had a chin. And he was going to give you $1 million, $11 million to fight him. This is the second time you choose to not fight for the most money in your career offered. With Superior Matias, you was going to get $3 million. You refused that fight because you're scared. You ain't built like that to Teofimo Lopez. And then, number 2, you refused the Devin Haney fight for $11 million. What is wrong with your cabeza? What's wrong with you? You a delusion? Yo, Teofimo Lopez is the most delusional boxer that I've ever seen. I used to be such a fan of his, but when he started pulling all that Cambosa stuff, and he lost, and he said, oh, I have asthma, I lost because I have asthma. Yo, the only victory that you have that's respectable and credible is Lomachenko. Josh Taylor is an overrated victory because Josh Taylor was inactive. And you saw what happened to him after that fight. He's no longer the same anyway. He's not the same like Regis Progress fight. But, this is the second time that Teofimo Lopez refused the most money in his career. And then he told De La Hoya, oh, I got fired. Turki Al-Sheikh fight. You could tell he wanted to cry. And then De La Hoya was supporting us. Hey, man, this is the most honest fighter. This is a good fight over here. He's the most honest. I don't know why they don't want to promote you right. It's because of your big mouth, Teofimo Lopez. If you bite the hand that feeds you, you gotta kiss up to them until you start making money for yourself and be independent. Then you can start your own stuff when you have that power. But you don't have that power right now. You have to be controlled by the people that have the money and that give you the opportunities. If he's giving you a fight with Devin Haney for $11 million, and you say no, that's your own fault, Teofimo Lopez. I don't care what the fanboys of Teofimo Lopez say about me. They say that I'm hating, but the real people know that I'm saying the truth. I'm calling it out for what it is. But those people that are blindly fans of Teofimo Lopez are going to say, oh, that I'm hating. I know, I'm saying the truth. The truth is a commodity nowadays. People are afraid to be real. They're afraid to be who they are, the best version of themselves. But I'm not afraid to do that. And they're not used to that. These little fanboys, these little AI, artificial intelligence, fake news, want to receive people. That's the thing. So I feel like Teofimo Lopez is ruining his career, and he has to take advantage of whatever opportunities he has right now with Turki Al-Sheikh. And he was gonna make that fight August 16th, and then they interviewed Devin Haney in TMZ, and then they asked what's he gonna do, and he said he's gonna fight the best fighters in the world, that he's moving on from Teofimo Lopez. And then they asked him, would you fight him down the road, Teofimo Lopez? And he said, oh, even though I moved on from Teofimo Lopez, he still can get it, like later on if he wants. And then they asked him TMZ asked Devin Haney about Ryan Garcia, if he's willing to fight him, and he didn't really want to talk about that. He didn't really want to talk about Ryan Garcia because De La Hoya is not trying to make that fight. Ryan Garcia is not going to be able to be fighting in a while. He's probably going to be out for a while because of the way he looked against Rolly Romero. And I feel like Ryan Garcia is a hype job. It's a hype job, but you make a lot of money fighting him. And then Subriel Matias, yes, I got to talk about Subriel Matias now. Subriel Matias said in the interview that they were asking about, are you prepared to fight a boxer like Alberto Puello? Did you do any adjustments, any changes in your training? And he said, well, if I would tell you yes, I wouldn't want to say anything because I want to prove it in the ring. I don't want to talk about it before because if something happens and I don't look good, then they're going to say, oh, like, you said you was going to do this and you didn't do it. So he's not putting that kind of pressure on himself. He's just basically saying that he's going to surprise people. Basically, I think he actually made some adjustments for the boxing style. And Subriel Matias was saying, particularly was talking about the fight between Sandor Martin and Alberto Puello, because if you look at that fight, Alberto Puello wasn't boxing a lot. He was going toe-to-toe with Sandor Martin, and a lot of people believe that Sandor Martin won that fight, but they gave it to Alberto Puello. And Alberto Puello wasn't the boxer that he was when he fought Gary Antoine Russell. And then the claim people were making, it wasn't actually Puello, but people were making, I think Puello's people were saying that Alberto Puello hurt his leg. That's the reason why he fought with Sandor Martin. And Subriel Matias said that's not true. He said that Puello never said that. The reason why Puello, Subriel Matias said the reason why Puello was going toe-to-toe with Sandor Martin is because in the first few rounds, Sandor Martin really hurt Puello, and he wanted to catch up and win the fight by going toe-to-toe with him because he was behind in the fight. That's the real reason why Alberto Puello got hit a lot, because he felt eager to make up for all the rounds that he lost in the beginning of the fight with Sandor Martin, and not because he hurt his leg. So that's what Subriel Matias said. He's a real one for saying that. He's saying, what's up, my brother Noel? What's going on? Thanks for tuning into the channel. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. I appreciate you tuning in and checking out the boxing content. I give you all the information that I look up, I research myself, so that way everybody's up to date with the boxing. Subriel Matias basically said that the fight with Puello and Sandor Martin, Puello never said that he hurt his leg. That's a lie. The reason why he fought toe-to-toe and got hit a lot with Sandor Martin is because he was trying to catch up, because he got hurt in the beginning of the fight with Sandor Martin, so he had to fight that way. So basically he's saying that Subriel could hurt him, and if Subriel hurts him, he's going to lose his head and just go toe-to-toe. So Subriel Matias basically said styles make fights. So he's basically saying something without telling you, if you know how to read between the lines, that he's going to hurt Puello, and Puello's going to resort to going toe-to-toe with him. So he's going to force him to go toe-to-toe. Based on what he said, if you read between the lines, that's what he said. That's what he meant. There's a lot of things that I read between the lines, that even with the Matias versus Liam Pato fight, I don't want to get into that. I said it so many times in the video. If you want to know about what I said about that fight, the politics behind that fight, watch my other videos, and you're going to see the unadulterated truth of Tony also knows boxing. I keep it real. I'm not afraid to say what I need to say, and a lot of people in the comments actually gave me love and credit for actually addressing that minuscule detail that people don't want to talk about. It's really a big detail, but people make it minuscule. They don't really bring it up about what happened behind the scenes between Liam Pato versus Subriel Matias fight. But you can watch my other videos to see what I said about that. So another thing that Subriel Matias said about Puello, my people tuning in, Noel, about to head to the Puerto Rican festival in NYC. I can't wait, bro. Ha ha. Yeah, man. One love to the Boricuas. Yo, we got to unite our tribes, keep our people united. Puerto Rico needs to be a sovereign nation, right? You enjoy the Puerto Rican parade in NYC, man. I'm from Brooklyn, man. I missed the NYC, New York Puerto Rican parade. I'm in Florida now, so I got to chill in Orlando whenever they have the parade. And, it's still my Boricuas over there, but it got more like the Puerto Rico vibe from the island, like people that moved from Puerto Rico to Orlando. But it's still my peoples, man. But it's just a different vibe. Nah, word, man. Ha ha. Yeah, Noel, man. Thanks for subscribing. Enjoy your time. I wish I could hang with you and go over there and eat some alcapurrias and enjoy the Puerto Rican festival in NYC. Yeah. Is it the one in Spanish Harlem, or is it the one? No, that's Sunday. Tomorrow's the one in New York, like 34th Street, right? Yeah. Puerto Rico Libre, papi. Yeah, man, I got new music coming out. Gonna release Mi Patria album, 10 bomba plena songs, singing some heartfelt, powerful messages for Puerto Rico, and also rapping on 3 songs out of the 10. Reggaeton with and singing on the hooks, but most of the album, 7 out of 10 songs, is singing soulful, melodic, poetic, powerful liberation lyrics for Puerto Rico. Yeah, you gotta check that out on all major platforms. It's coming out soon. Yeah, my brother, enjoy your time. God bless you. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. I appreciate you tuning in. Let everybody know about Tony Also Knows Boxing. My music is on all major platforms. And everybody tuning in, subscribe to the channel. Whoever didn't, whoever did, one love to you. And I gotta say one more thing about hi, baby. I gotta help my wife before she goes. I love my wife. You know? I love you. You heard that kiss, right? That's for me only. Anyway, she's saying bye.
Subscribe to this channel.
Yeah, she's saying bye. There's one more thing I gotta say about what Subriel Matias said in the interview. He said that they gotta watch Alberto Puello's hands, because the way they wrap his hands, they do some little tricks there that's illegal. And he has been caught with illegal substances in fights before. So he's aware of that, but he believes that if you're going to win, it don't matter if you use substance or if you do, that you're still going to win no matter what. If you train hard, he don't believe in that. But at the same time, he did say that he does, Alberto Puello does illegal stuff with his hands, that he does tricks with his hands to have more power. So that's something that you need to be watching out for as well. So there's some, there's some things going on behind the scenes, and there's a rematch clause between Subriel Matias versus Alberto Puello. There's going to be a rematch clause. They asked Subriel Matias in what order and what fights he prefers if he should beat Alberto Puello, and he basically gave him a good answer. He said, well, I have a rematch clause that Alberto Puello put a rematch clause in the fight, and it's only fair that he did that because he gave me the opportunity. I was optional. He said, Subriel Matias said that Alberto Puello gave Subriel Matias the opportunity. He didn't have to, but he was optional, and then he put a rematch clause to do the rematch and to make more money. So he said that he would have to fight him again first, and then the order of which fights he preferred would be, I think it was Ryan Garcia was first. I think Ryan Garcia was first. He mentioned Pitbull. He mentioned Teofimo Lopez and Gary Antoine Russell. But I forgot what order it was, but I think he preferred Ryan Garcia first because, of course, there's more money in that fight, but he didn't say that. But he said basically that, I'm going to read your comment, let me just finish my point. He basically said that the reason why that he would prefer Ryan Garcia because he's Mexican and he's Puerto Rican and those fights sell. And also his style is perfect for him. Of course, man. Ryan Garcia, he gets hit easy, man. He has power, but he gets hit easily. Noel's asking me, you think Edgar Berlanga might be a top 10 fighter in the world in boxing soon? Not soon. Nah, he gotta step it up, man. He's gotta fight better opposition. I feel like who he's fighting right now is, it's not elite. He's an undefeated fighter, Shariz. But I think they're putting their money on Shariz, Turkey Al-Sheikh. They believe in him, and I think that Edgar Berlanga needs to really take that fight serious because even though he's the popular fighter, Shariz is doing everything in his power to make sure that Shariz wins. So I think Edgar Berlanga should just go for the KO because even though he's the popular fighter, Turkey Al-Sheikh is the one with the power, and he wants to put his money on Shariz from what I heard. But I don't think Edgar Berlanga is going to be a top fighter that soon, unless he makes a drastic decision and fights like a Caleb Plant. Even though Caleb Plant lost his last fight and he didn't look too good, but it's a good name for him, and I think it's a good fight for him. But it's not dangerous because he don't have power. You know, now he's not really in his prime anymore on Caleb Plant. But he does have some skills, but I think that'll be a fight that he can make that'll slowly get him into the top contention. But boxing is a circus now. It's a game. It's a popularity game. It's not like the way it used to be, like when the real dogs used to fight, like Felix Trinidad, Roy Jones, Pernell Whitaker, James Toney, Michael Nunn. Remember Michael Nunn? Oh man, that was a good time. Charles Barkley, not Charles Barkley. You know who I'm talking about. Edwin Rosario, Felix Trinidad versus De La Hoya, Whitaker versus fights like Fernando Vargas, Felix Trinidad, Roy Jones versus James Toney, Gerald McClellan versus Nigel Benn. Like those were the days. Julian Jackson. That's the era that the best fought the best, and it wasn't like no popularity contest. If you was the best, you wanted to prove it against the best, and you didn't care. Like you wanted to make sure it was on an even playing field just to prove that you was really the best. Now they try to use weight clauses. They try to make you drain yourself, and I don't like all that stuff. No, but I think Edgar Berlanga has improved, but I don't give him the credit for going the distance with Canelo. Canelo hasn't knocked anybody out in years, and he didn't even knock out Munguia, who was knocked out by Sarish, whatever his name is. You know, they're not even known. Nobody knew who he was. But, you know, we can't underestimate the unknown, but sometimes they have the talent that we don't think just because we don't know about them doesn't mean they don't have talent. But I just feel like Canelo is overrated. He's good, but he's not great. If he was to fight in the 90s, he would be an average boxer. If Canelo was to fight in the 90s, he would be an average boxer. He would be decent. He wouldn't be like this. It's just promotion now. Now everything is promotion. They can make you look good, and they take the best fights for the best possible money. That's not risky. That's what they do. If you have a name like Canelo, and they just take the safest fights possible. And I don't think Berlanga's gonna be the top 10 fighter unless he makes some drastic moves where he fights Caleb Plant. And then he tries to fight a Jamal Charlo, tries to do something like that. Well, you know, like he has to fight a fighter like David Benavidez. If he fights David Benavidez and he looks good and he beats him, okay, but I don't think he's built for him. You know, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm Boricua, but I call a spade a spade. David Benavidez is another fighter who's one of my favorite fighters as well, besides Keyshawn Davis. I like Xander Zayas too, and I think that David Benavidez is the problem. Like they don't want to smoke with him. Canelo don't want to smoke with him. You don't. David Benavidez will really seriously hurt Canelo, and Canelo knows it. So it's boxing politics, and I feel like David Benavidez, I don't think Berlanga could beat him. I don't think Berlanga can even. Berlanga might do a little bit. Might hurt him a little bit, but nah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think David Benavidez is just he's just a very great boxer with a lot of resistance, a lot of skills. He will hurt Berlanga's. He will seriously annihilate him. I mean, if Berlanga's able to step up to that plate to prove that he wants to be the best in the world, then he will get to the top 10 fighter. But you know, boxing politics. Canelo might fight him if he looks good against Sharice, because that's boxing politics. But that doesn't mean that you're great. I think in the rematch he'll do better against Canelo. I think Berlanga will do better against Canelo. Like, is Canelo ready for the taking for Berlanga to stop him? You never know. You know, based on his first fight, you know, he should have did more than just go talking to him like, oh, mira puñeta, yo soy boricua. You know, yeah, okay, but swing at him. Don't just freaking pose. Yeah, you know, yeah, that's how I feel about Berlanga. There's different scenarios that could get him there, though. And I feel like he will have to fight Berlanga. He will have to fight David Benavidez, Caleb Plant to get closer to you know, top 10 fighter. But I feel like it's a risky division, man. They might just make that fight, the Canelo versus Berlanga, after he beats Sharizi. but they're banking their money on Shariz, Turkey Al Sheikh, because they have like a history with each other, and they want him to win win the opportunity to fight for Canelo's belts. And I just hope that Berlanga brings his A game. I don't think he's there yet. I support him. He's Boricua, but I don't like the way he's going about it. But I feel that Berlanga, if he beats Sharizi, he'll probably make the Canelo rematch. That's how boxing politics is right now. It's a popularity contest. You don't have to earn it. It's just your name got to be popular, and you got to have some kind of weight behind your name. And that's the way boxing is now. It's not what you accomplish in the ring. It's who you know and how much popularity you can gain. How marketable you are. It was like that before, marketable, but it was different variables. It wasn't like now. Now it's just marketable, good looks, how the connections you have based on your popularity and who you know, and it doesn't really have to do with what you accomplish in the ring, and it sucks, man. That's what I don't like about boxing. But Tony also knows boxing. Check out my music on all major platforms. I sing and I rap. Check out my content, my boxing channel. Subscribe to that channel. Click that like button. Subscribe to that channel. Don't be afraid to click that subscribe button. That's all I got for now, and the fight start at 10 with Abdullah Mason. He's replacing Keyshawn Davis. I'm so upset about Keyshawn Davis not making weight. He really messed up his opportunity, and he lost his belt, his WBO belt, and I'm still a fan of his. Don't get it twisted, but he's unprofessional, and he just wanted an advantage with the weight, and I feel like he really blew it for me, man. Like, I really wanted to see him test himself against Edwin De Los Santos, but Edwin De Los Santos got $400,000 paid for his time, even if he's not fighting, Keyshawn Davis. He still got paid by Top Rank Incorporated, by way of his company, $400,000. So they were gonna take the purse out of Keyshawn Davis if the fight would have went through, but obviously they couldn't make that fight. They couldn't salvage the fight. There's too many factors, not making weight, unsafe, unprofessional, and they have to teach him a lesson. And I feel like that's well deserved. Teach him a lesson. He was upset about that too. I think he was really upset about it. Keyshawn Davis, about not making weight. And I like what De Los Santos said. De Los Santos said in his accent, he said, "No fight 2 years, I make weight." Come on, man. Basically saying, you're active, Keyshawn Davis, and you didn't make weight, and I'm not, and I'm inactive for 2 years, and I made weight. It's just, he did it on purpose, man. Keyshawn Davis did it on purpose. He wanted to have that advantage and that leverage with the weight. That's what it was. Alright, subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. I'm still gonna watch the fight tonight. Watch the fight tonight because it's the only thing to do that's right. Anyway, I'm just being funny, but yeah, subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Peace. One love. Subscribe to that channel. Don't be afraid. Don't be a coward.